everybody, welcome to One Set. My name is Anthony Irvin.
What's up, everybody? How we doing?
This is my co-host, Jim Green. This has been a year in the making.
It's really been 23 years in the making. Who wants to tell it? You or me? I don't know. Let's do it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of One Set. My name is Anthony Irvin, aka Magic. I'm here with my co-host, Jim Green, aka Green Monster. How are you doing, my friend?
My brother, I am doing pretty well. I'm excited to be here, and excited to be here with our viewers. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We've gotten such positive response to this, and I thought Anthony and I were just going to be chatting, just the two of us every week,
right?
and every week I continue to run into someone new that's like, I'm really digging this podcast that you guys are doing. And I'm like, I never thought that people would care about hearing our life stories and stuff, you know?
Yeah,
but
same.
I think because you and I are like good dudes, we got a lot of people that look up to us, and especially for our passions, you being a musician and me being a dancer. I think that people are inspired about like just who we are as genuine human beings, you know? So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Last week we were graced with our good friend Matt Kelly as our first special guest. Once again, all the thanks to him for cutting out time to join us, because he is a very busy podcaster himself. He's all over the place,
constantly podcasting.
Kudos to him. He, I'm so happy that he is taking something that he is passionate about and has built a lifestyle out of it, you know? So it was really cool we talked in depth about wrestling stuff. So we're probably not going to get too much into that today. Especially with WrestleMania next weekend, episode 13, we'll probably dabble into our WrestleMania predictions. So we're going to hold off on the Wrestle Talk for today. And how was your weekend?
It was pretty good, man. Fun filled. I think, weather-wise, it was pretty decent, but, had a little family day on Saturday, took little man down to Delaware to a little kids museum, and they had like some fun activities for him to run around and play, and just it's starting to get to the point where he's able to actually start running around and playing around, and we're actually starting to actually have to try to catch up to him and catch him and everything. And just a couple months ago we were just trying to get him to start walking. And, he was just doing he'll take a couple steps, then he'll fall, then he'll do a couple steps, and he knows how to, stand on his own 2 feet. But now he's actually learning, okay, hey, I can actually go a little bit faster now. I can pick up my speed, and, his balance always isn't the best. So you have to still kind of be like right there with him. But it's cool to just see the continued progress of, what he's been doing. And like I've said in a lot of previous episodes, that we don't usually see our own progress in our first couple of years because it's just like a flash to us. But like seeing another young human being coming into the first 360 plus days of their life, how much everything that they learn in that amount of time is insanely inspiring. Of like, and the little things that your brain just picks up on and just knows, not even from learning. There are certain things that he's done already that we necessarily didn't even teach him or learn or put in front of him. He just knew. Like he's so big into basketball right now, and we were over my brother's house, and my brother is more the basketball person than I am now. But they had a little Tykes basketball hoop there, and little Anthony just went to it and started shooting basketballs and everything. So we ended up getting one for the house, and every morning picks up that basketball and just starts shooting, dunking, and everything. There was a basketball net at the kids museum. He spent probably 85-90% of his time playing basketball.
That's so cool.
So
I mean,
it is.
I know when I was over your place a few weeks ago, before we headed up to Parks
Yeah.
to see Tom Segura, that you guys had the hoop then, and he was
Uh-huh.
dunking it then. I was like, oh my god,
And
little.
he's watching the March Madness games right now too, and he'll just like look at the games. He'll be like, "Ball, ball, ball, ball." So that's his basketball talk, and he's so in love with basketball right now,
That's
and
so
like
cool.
sports in general. I think he really likes, and Jen wants to get him into baseball, so we're gonna try to get him some baseball stuff, and uh, so because she played softball in college,
Hmm.
and I was the basketball person. I didn't play in college. I played all through high school. So we both have our sports backgrounds, and so sports is definitely outside of music. He definitely has his music abilities too. But it's cool to have like those sports things too, because sports is another thing between me and my wife, that we at least have something that we know of, like a responsibility that you have to go through, just like anything, like dance and music. There is a sort of like practice regime and responsibility that you have to take in those type of fields, and it'd be cool to kind of pass that down to him eventually.
Yeah, and I think basketball is like I'm sitting here processing what you're saying, and I think that basketball is just like as like a toddler, like your son, the concept of ball in net, boom.
Yeah.
With baseball, it's like, one, you got to learn how to throw the ball, right?
Hmm.
Two, you got to learn how to catch the ball in the glove, which is like, I played t-ball for 2 years, and I played little league for a year, and like
Yeah.
it was like my dad and I used to have catches, like it was fun. Like
Yeah.
we haven't had like a baseball catch in forever. But even after that, as I got older, when we would go to the beach, we would have like a Nerf football and just
Yeah.
have a catch in the sand. Um,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, and then number three, you got to learn how to hit the ball with the bat. So baseball, I think baseball
Uh-huh.
is just a tougher concept to learn to grasp. Basketball is just like ball and hoop, boom. So
Yeah.
it makes
I-
sense that he's there right
in the
now. But
A lot,
I think
like you
over
were saying. Yeah.
time, um, the baseball thing will come through for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like you have the hand-eye coordination of like hitting a ball and knowing, like getting your hand-eye coordination for taking the bat, hitting the ball, getting that. Where basketball for a kid is just more about obviously putting the ball through the hoop,
Yeah,
and just teaching them about dribbling. But then again, when you're in that type of age, they just let you kind of just
yeah.
do whatever with the dribbling. But then I think more as you get older, and just like anything, like you start pinning and putting a lot more of those pieces together and learning more about the sport and getting it down to a science,
Hmm.
because just like anything, there's a science with basketball of you know learning to read defenses, learning how to when to do this, when to do that, clock management and all that. And so it's a lot of different theory, just like music theory. There's a lot of different ways to play chords, and when to use them, when not to use them. And so it's a lot of different things that you can learn about, and dig deep into a certain idea. And it's cool that a lot of different situations, like on the surface, are pretty basic, but then when you dig deep more into those, like there's a lot, like you open up a big Pandora's box of a lot of different resources into them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about like soccer. Okay, like for Lil Tone, to him, it's just a matter of kicking the ball right now,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
when you watch professional soccer, it's like they're I don't know, like they're on the move the entire time,
Yeah.
and like there's so much calculating that you're doing, and like not being able to use your hands unless if you're like the goalie and you're throwing it, or if you're like out of bounds and you're tossing it in, and just all the footwork and all the stamina that goes into being able to keep up with the game. Like, yeah, it's just amazing to watch. Like, like I mean, not infants, but toddlers,
Uh-huh.
and then you watch kids grow. It's the same with dance. I mean, like
Yeah.
you slap a kid with a costume and you teach them a cute little simple thing, and
Mhm.
it's adorable when they're 4, 5, 6 years old, and then it's like, okay, now we got to start teaching you technique, and now we got to start teaching you theory and dynamics and stuff like that. So
Correct, correct.
yeah, it's I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you and Jen and Lil Tone, obviously, but
Yeah.
just to see um, his cognitive growth. And I know you and I talk about this uh, at least monthly about
Uh-huh.
him. It's like, where's he at now? Where's he at now?
Right.
And it's just so fun to hear. And like I said, I was watching him when I came over, and it was the first time that I saw him like walking around fluently, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh no,
Jesus. Yeah.
they're in trouble! They're in trouble!
Yep.
He's on the
Yep.
move!"
Yeah, man. Like you said, he definitely has those times, especially like when we were at that museum. You know, we had that was I guess one of the first times we had him out in like a play area that he can just roam and do what he wants. So it was like those first couple times you had to like run up to him like, okay, hey, come back, come back, come back. No, 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 don't go there. No. So you're like running after him and he's ready. He's like,
It's hustling, right?
he sees something, he's like, "Ooh, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go." And you're like, "Wait, wait, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Come on, come
Ooh,
on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on,
ooh, shiny red ball. Ooh, shiny red
Hey,
ball. Ooh, shiny
yeah.
red ball.
Ooh, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh,
Ooh,
piece
piece
of
of
candy.
candy. So
Yeah,
good.
man. It's cool to see his progress, and uh, yeah. Again, I'm just looking. I can't believe he's going to be 2 years old in a couple months. It's insane that they really do say. I mean, that your kids are only like young once, and they get to like 4 or 5 years old really quick, so you got to cherish these moments of their really young, like toddler years, because before you know it they're in school, before you know it they're a teenager, before you know it they're graduating. So it's insane.
Yeah, it's like, what do they say? Today is the youngest you'll ever be again and the oldest that you've ever been. Like just
Mm,
a time frame
yeah.
uh
Right.
reference. Um yeah, he's never gonna be younger again.
Uh-huh.
But he's the oldest that he's ever been now. So it's gonna be fun. I'm excited for when he like goes to first grade and he's in school. And we were just talking about that a couple weeks ago. Like when he's
Yeah.
in school full time, and you're sending him off, and you're like, okay, you're going to school, I'm going to work, and uh, when I get home, you'll be done school, and then you might be on to playing some sport or something if you guys have him in a thing.
Yeah.
That's going to be wild.
Yeah.
And it's
It's crazy to think of all that stuff.
yeah, I mean, and when you think like we're both at this point 35 years old, you're talking when we're 40 years old, your boy's going to be almost 7.
Yeah, Jesus.
That's wild to think about, right? I mean,
I know.
it's wild, and it's fun too, because you have it to look forward to. Um, I'm looking forward to it for you. I mean, I don't have any.
Yeah.
I'm not married. I don't have any kids of my own at this point. But I'm excited to watch you experience it. It's been. I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
even actually like really as present as I would like to be. Like with the pandemic and everything, we're trying to like
yeah, 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 yeah.
be like a little bit cautious about that. And he's
Hmm.
um, obviously so little, and but I'm hoping that things will settle down, and then I
Yeah,
can be a little bit more present in his life. Because
I think this summer will definitely be a little bit more of a change too, because I think things will be opening up a little bit more easily, and we'll be able to get him out, and he wants to be outside a lot more now, and so we're trying to find things to do with him, because like you said, the pandemic, we really didn't do a lot with him because we were just worried about going here,
yeah,
going there, because and we still don't know how it really affects kids at his age.
hmm
So we've been really, you know,
apprehensive.
uh,
Yeah,
apprehensive of
sure.
going certain places, and but each day, and we're getting more confident. But like, it's cool to have these little family moments with him, because we for like the first almost year or so, we just had him in the house, and the only other times he was really going out was if he was going to a one of his doctor's appointments, or going to one of the grandparents' houses.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
and they say when you have an infant, like for the first year, they they cry, they eat, they make a mess in the diaper,
yeah,
and that's about it because
yeah,
they're just babies. They're literally babies, right?
right.
But I think
And I feel I'm at a cool stage with him too, like, because he's at that point right now where you can have, not that you couldn't before, but you can have like that fun time with him. Like, he actually wants to like really play, and you can play with him, especially with the basketball stuff too, and like with his toys and everything. He likes dinosaurs, he likes a whole bunch and he plays with all of his toys. I mean, he has his favorites, but he plays with everything.
that's great. You don't
So
feel
it's not like, if you he's not one of those kids like, oh, he'll have something and then he gets it done in like a week and he doesn't see it again. Like, he plays with everything. So
hey, that's great on your guys' end because it feels like money well spent, right?
exactly, too. So we know, at least if we do buy him something, he's not gonna like not like it in a week. I mean,
And then
he
you'll
may
be
not
like,
play with it for a couple days, but he'll
waste.
go back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, waste. Uh, he may not see it for a couple days, but if you reintroduce it to him, he'll be like, "Oh, where was that? I'll take that."
Right.
And it's just like a really cool time, just being able to spend time with him and play, little things with him, and you're just doing that whole parent kid time and everything, making him laugh, and just trying to like fill those fun moments and doing little things. And it's cool to kind of just uh be amongst other people who have kids, and just say like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm doing the same thing with mine. It was fun. And I'll tell you one funny story. So there was a little uh fish tank with some small stingrays in there at the museum, and he was looking at them, just kind of looking at the stingrays, looking at the fish, looking up at me and Jen, and he'll kind of just give you like a little smile, and he'll look back and start going like that. In comes uh, a little girl, just about as tall as him, and they go looking at the thing together. She looks at him. She starts trying to give him a kiss. And he's looking at the stingray like, I'm looking at this stingray. What the hell are you doing? Like, totally just was not interested. Just like, you see this stingray, right? Like, and then the dad was kind of, he pulled his daughter away, because I was saying, I mean, hey, I mean, kids are kids, but we're like, yeah, definitely. I mean, we don't want any of that kind of happening, especially in like the pandemic world, because I mean, that's kind of frowned upon. I mean, if any other type of age, I mean, you wouldn't really care, like, because whatever. But like, especially with you really shouldn't be doing that in a pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
get
is the
that.
pandemic over? Is it really over? I don't know. No.
Is it still a thing? Nobody knows. Will it ever
Nobody
end?
knows.
Nobody knows. Variant number 87.5. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
right. When will it end? Uh
oh my goodness. That's cute though.
But you were saying you have some competitions coming up again, right?
Yeah. So my one uh, my guy from Jersey, he competed this past weekend. They apparently did very well. Um,
Hmm.
and then my studio from down in Maryland, Baltimore County area, they had their first competition this past weekend, and my soloist did fairly well. From what I was told, I couldn't make it because uh, this is the thing with teaching on Saturday afternoons. Is like
Yeah.
I have, and especially they were competing down in Maryland. Um,
Yeah.
and my one soloist was on at like 8 a.m. on Sunday, and my other one was on, I think, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. I actually had to teach Sunday, just a which I don't always teach Sundays, but I actually wound up having to teach. So I was like, I probably can't make the first one, but I could make the second one. And I was like, that doesn't seem fair. Like if I can't make it to any of my studio comps to see all of the pieces that I've worked on, like if I can only make it for, like, say if I had like two or three pieces at the studio
Yeah.
and I can't make the one of them, it doesn't feel fair that I'm missing the one, but I can make it to the other one or two. So
Uh huh.
if I have to miss the one, I'm just like, sorry, like like it just doesn't seem fair. So,
Hmm.
um, but I think I have it ironed out so that I'll, like, of all of the competition pieces that I have choreographed, I'll be able to see all of them at least once. And I'm trying to keep it to one, because if I go to one studio twice and I only went to this studios once, it's like I care more about this. It's just
Yeah.
it's tricky to navigate. But um, we're what, at the end of March, so still have April and May, the end of June and July. So I have time to actually get out to see everybody. But like it's it's like when they all go to nationals in the summer, and
Hmm.
they all overlap and they're in the same week. And I'm teaching less in the summer because summer is lighter. So
Yeah.
my finances are not where they normally are. So taking
Right.
off to go to nationals to see everybody is gonna be rather challenging. But all I can do is try, right? Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, my Baltimore studio, they're competing again this coming weekend. Um, and then next, yo fam, I have I have I have rehearsal next Sunday. I don't know what time I have it at. Um, but it's WrestleMania. So I'm like,
Right.
man, no. Um,
Yeah. And WrestleMania starts early this year, right?
I mean, they typically start. I feel like their pre-shows are like at 5, and then the actual show starts at 7. Right? That that
Something like
that
that.
sounds about right.
But
And
I
then
thought they were starting in like the afternoon or something. That uh, aren't they or something? Or, or is it still like late evening or late
uh,
afternoon, early evening?
I'm not sure. And honestly, it may be. mm,
I'll have to double check.
yeah. Well,
I thought they
well,
were doing it like way earlier or something.
they're in Dallas, so it may be earlier out there. But I
True.
feel like it
True.
will probably be regular time on the East Coast where we are. Um,
Yeah, because I think Dallas, you're usually from here. You're not in a time zone
you're you're
difference.
you're
Maybe an hour. What?
you're two
Right?
hours behind, I think, in Dallas. I'll
Okay.
look that up real quick just because I'm curious. Uh,
Yeah,
I
I think
always
if not, yeah, it might be 2. You might be right. It might be a 2-hour delay.
I I find the time zone maps so interesting because the way that they cut the time zones, it's not. straight.
Uh-huh.
Like it's like I'm looking at this map right now, and like the way it cuts through certain states. Like I'm looking at Florida right now, and the like the the top
Yeah.
handle, not
Uh-huh.
not like the peninsula itself, but the handle at the top that lies under,
Uh-huh.
like underneath Georgia is one time zone, but underneath Alabama is a different time zone. So like
Hmm.
it just interests me how they determine that. And I'm looking out
Right.
at Nevada, or North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, uh, Kansas. Like they have indentations of where the time zones trim. And then
Uh-huh.
even Idaho is like, how Idaho is shaped kind of weird where it's like the top goes to a point up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that top point is the Pacific time zone, but the
Hmm.
lower portion of Idaho is mountain time. Uh, but yeah, it
Interesting.
looks like Texas, most of Texas, there's like a small slither on the western corner that is mountain time, but Texas is actually only an hour behind us.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I thought it was either like an hour or two, but
it's
yeah.
it's only one. I thought it was two. Um,
Or I thought Texas was like the last state that was on like the same time zone as us, but then I guess yeah, it might be an hour or two behind.
Georgia is the same time zone, but Alabama, which is next to it, is an hour behind. Tennessee,
Okay.
it's chopped. Like if you're in Knoxville, which is on the eastern side of Tennessee, you're in the same time zone as us. But if you're out in Memphis, which is in the western corner of the state, you're an hour behind us.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's just weird the way that the time zones are. I don't know who, like, I wonder who decided that.
Right. Well, it's on the internet, so it's got to be true.
Yeah, it's got to be right.
Don't question it.
You better not. Um,
Facts.
yeah, straight facts. I'm trying to. I tried to Google what time WrestleMania start. It doesn't particularly. It doesn't really specify.
And they were, hyping up saying like, "Oh, well, we're going to give name changes to each of the nights." And people thought it was going to be like some brilliant type of name. They just simply just named it WrestleMania Saturday and WrestleMania Sunday.
Trolls. Yeah.
Like okay, you think you were going to get like a miraculous like name for each night, like nope, Saturday night, Sunday night.
Yo, did you know that Dolph Ziggler is the NXT champion?
I did. I didn't see the match, but he took it off of what's the guy's name that's with Tommaso Ciampa
Ciampa?
right now. Ciampa wasn't the champion. It was the other bigger dude.
What is it, Braun Breaker?
Yeah, Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
He was so Ziggler took it off of him. I think last Tuesday, The Miz was down in NXT doing Miz TV with Dolph Ziggler. So I mean, they're definitely trying to put some main roster people into NXT to hopefully try to bring people to
Like
NXT
draw some
to view.
attention to it. Yeah.
But no, I don't think anybody cares
I
at this
I
point. Like we were mentioning last week, nobody cares at this
nobody
point.
cares at this point. Yeah, it's
Like I feel bad because I feel there's some decent talent that's down there, but it's just I don't care anymore. They just totally ruined NXT for me.
yeah.
I feel so bad for the whole brand. They just ruined everything that was good about it, and they just took it and trashed everything.
Yeah.
Once I saw once I saw the first logo for NXT, I'm like, this is gonna be crap.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
They had like the paintbrush type of logo to it. I'm like, this is gonna be crap.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
straight up not good.
No, straight up not good. Just straight to the bed. This is gonna be bad.
Yeah, this is gonna be just abysmal.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean it's saying 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time,
Okay.
Saturday,
Then I guess they're
April
just doing
2nd. So Pre-show probably 6 to 8.
6?
Yeah,
So, yeah, 6 to 8
two, they usually
most
do a
likely.
2 hour pre-show.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I don't know. You got any gigs coming up?
Uh, I am open until Memorial Day weekend. So if there's anybody out there who is a booking promoter who wants to book some live music, hit me up.
There he is.
spokenlivemusic.com at uh yeah, spokenlivemusic at yahoo.com
There you go.
for an email.
That's it.
Or if there's any, since it is springtime now, if there's anybody who wants to throw some backyard parties, if we have the weather, feel free to hit me up. I've never done that. I think that would be cool as hell to do. I know there's some people that, do like, backyard gigs and stuff. I mean, they have to throw out a different price range for what they do at bars and stuff, but you know, I think that would be cool to kind of play for like a party.
Grab party.
Because then you can, oh yeah, because then you can cater your set list to what they want you to play.
Hmm.
So then you know what to play. I mean, you it would probably have to be a couple months out. So then, like, especially for me, I would have to probably learn a couple certain songs and, cater the set list to that specific party. But I think it would be a cool experience.
Can we talk about like DJing a wedding and like
Yeah.
DJs? They go to the bride and groom to be and say, "Give me your music selection," and they literally just compile a playlist and play it.
It, and interesting you want to talk about that because we can talk about you know because for my wedding we had the DJ band type singer type thing, and that was pretty much what they asked us. Like, well, what do you guys want to hear? What type of music do you guys like?
Mhm.
I mean, do you guys like the whole line dance stuff? Do you like the electric slide type dance
Sure.
things? Like, and we're like, yeah, we can have the typical things because I know certain people want to do them, but like you know I have they couldn't be playing Metallica all night, unfortunately. But but we had to have like we figure obviously during dinner you have the soft time music and everything. And we figure we're coming together with two Italian families. You can't not have Italian music. You got to play a little Frank Sinatra, a couple other dudes, and then you have the upscale music and everything. So it was almost like you were picking the set list for your whole entertainment too. So and then they pretty much once they have their format, then they can just go off of whatever else they want. As long as they kind of know the format and little niche of what you want, they can work around it.
Right. I think it's obviously important to cater to the preference of your party, right? And that's why,
Yeah.
like you were saying, if you played like a grad party or a birthday party, like outdoors when it's warmer weather, it's like you're still not going to play modern pop if you're doing somebody's 80th birthday.
No. Yeah.
So
I don't think anybody's gonna want Cardi B at their 80th birthday party.
if you play Cardi B at your
If
next show,
you
if you I will I will tip you handsomely if you play Cardi B at the next show that I see you
I'll tip myself if I play Cardi
at.
B.
Because it'll feel like work, no?
Yeah, right.
What you got there, by the way?
I am rocking a Heineken tonight.
Heine.
Heine. Hashtag Heine.
Sour
Going
monkey.
with the Sour Monkey.
Mm.
Cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers, brother. I love you.
Love you too, man. And cheers to everybody watching. Thank you all for being here. Just some plugs. I mean, make sure you guys are following us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at One Set Pod. And feel free to send us any messages on social media And if you guys have any comments or if you guys have any questions for us, feel free to email us at onesetpod@gmail.com.
The nu-
And you guys can
the number one.
the, the number one, and you guys can give us a rating, give us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and also we are on Anchor. And I think when we post our feeds on Facebook, our little podcast episodes end up on Facebook podcasts as well. So anywhere you usually, and if there's anywhere else that you guys specifically listen to podcasts that you would want us to post our episodes to, let us know and we can get them on there. I know a lot of people usually like I think Google Play, Stitcher. We haven't gone on those, so if there's anybody that listens on there, we can get ours on there. So leave us a comment if you want us to go on any specific outlets that you would want us to be on, and we'll try to get ourselves on there.
Absolutely.
And like Jim was saying, we appreciate everybody. Our listeners are growing as the weeks go, and we really appreciate everybody showing us the support. We had Matt on last week for our first guest, and we plan on having some more guests. And if there's anybody, with a specific passion, we would love to talk to you about your passion.
One
Uh,
hundred
just
percent.
as just as similar to me and Jim's passions of dance and music, having that similarity, it would be awesome to talk to people with different passions and rat their brain.
Absolutely. I think I had a friend one time tell me, and it really stuck with me. We talking about like just the dating life and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he had mentioned to me, girls are really, and it's not, I don't think that it is specific to females in general. I think
Hmm.
we we find it attractive when people have a passion or are heavily committed to something, right?
Yeah.
It's just it, you know it, I'm not knocking if anybody hasn't found their passion or doesn't know their way. Like,
Right.
everybody's got their own journey, right? But we were just talking about, you know this is one of the brief times where I was single ever. Um, um, but my buddy was saying to me, he's like, it's not necessarily what you wear, how you talk, what you look like. He's like, they're all factors.
Yeah.
But if you're really dedicated to something, that's appealing, right?
And I think it kind of shows to your personality too, because
Oh yeah,
you know, with having a passion for something, you're dedicated to that. You put your time and effort. You have responsibility towards it. You put, you're showing,
commitment.
effort into something. There
Yeah.
you go, commitment. So,
Well, and
you
that's what's appealing, right? Is like, if you're committed to a thing for a long time, a life partner's going to say, okay, they don't just jump around from this to that to the other
yeah,
thing.
right.
And if you dabble in various things and you aren't settled in, I'm not knocking you,
No, no, no.
not even a little bit. But I think that what he claimed holds a lot of value, you know?
Hmm.
So, being that you have been so committed to music and I've been so committed to dancing, um, it's cool to talk to people that have been in a specific world for a long time, just to hear how they got started, and then, like, their process and their
Yeah,
and their growth. It's just so interesting to hear those stories.
I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always cool to like you said, hear people's journey of where they started off from, and then their current and then
What's up, everybody? This episode of One Set is brought to you once again by mathematics. Listen, um, when my buddy Anthony and I got in trouble for talking when we weren't supposed to talk, and we were assigned our one set punishment, um, we only had to go up to 12 times 12. And it got me thinking, why do we stop there? Like, how come we didn't continue past that? So, entering episode 13 next week, I took it upon myself to go ahead and do a little one set of 13 times 1 up through 13 times 13. So, if you don't know your 13 times tables, you should go work on yourself.
this podcast is brought to you by National Chip and Dip Day. Ain't nothing better than a day going with your favorite chip and some queso dip. How about you, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the spinach dip, which I love with some pumpernickel bread. Super good. My uncle used to make that all the time. But yeah, it's got to be the tortillas scoop, uh, chips with some warmed up nacho cheese. Whiz.
The brilliant mind of making a chip that you can dip. Mm, some brilliant minds there.
Can't go wrong.
Let us know your favorite chip and dip combo in the comments below. Okay, guys. Yeah, so my computer just randomly restarted. So I'm going to get back to what I was saying. So what I was saying was the fact that it was cool to uh, talk to people who have that ABC type of storyline to them, where they talk about where they began and just figuring out. And I would say even in A, it's not even necessarily a passion for them at that moment. It's more of like a hobby and something like, oh, this is something new. And then in the middle, they start figuring out like this is something that I'm really gravitating to. And then it gets into like a passion. And then the president is like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is what I love doing. And, I just want to see how far it takes me.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to me, like being an instructor. Um, like having students that start out really young. It's like they either, they kind of do it, and then they kind of don't care about it, and then the parents are like, "Well, I'm not paying for this if you're not investing in it." Pull.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Right.
then you obviously have your your students that start young and they keep prospering and prospering, and they just keep climbing, right? And then you have I have students that start late. I have this one student at my one studio. She just started dancing a year ago and she's in high school. And to see her, like, she was brought into my class last March, and it was like kind of out of nowhere. She decided, I want to try dancing. Like,
Uh,
she was a freshman and she was auditioning for her high school dance team kind of thing. And I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with a 15-year-old with zero dance experience?
yeah.
But a year later, she's like thriving right now, and
Wow.
not for nothing, she's she's not a 16-year-old dancer that's been dancing for 10 years,
Yeah.
but to see the growth of a new student that's older is like, it's really genuine, because it's like she decided, I want to try this. And then she decided, I really like this. And then she decided, I'm going to work really hard at it. And she just, she pushes herself to be better and better every class. And I'm like,
That's awesome.
yeah. And I actually know her coach, um, from her high school dance team.
Uh-huh.
uh, and like we texted a few times about like her progress, and it's just it's so rare to find people that jump into something new at a later age. But I also know like some of my inspirations in dance. Um, they didn't start until they were 16, 17, 19,
Yeah.
like legitimately training. And it's just you like for some, you just get to that age and maturity where like I want to do this and I want to put my whole self into it, you know? And
Yeah.
I think that those stories are so inspiring because it's not, hey, I do this because my parents put me in it when I was,
Yeah.
pi years old or whatever.
Right.
Um, so bad. Um, had to throw a little math thing in there, right? Because one set.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just there's I'm like rolling through a handful of professional dancers' names in my head. Granted, they're all they're all male, and males in the dance field are like a hot commodity because we're the minority, right?
Right. Right.
Um, females in the dance world, you are, uh, I mean, even now, like me, I'm a small fish in an ocean
Yeah.
of
Uh-huh.
talent, right?
Right.
But the fact that there are however many times more females in the dance circuit, it's like I don't, I can't think of any females that. Okay, well, this isn't quite fair, but I can think of one who she trained as like a ballerina and a technician until
Mhm.
she was 19, moved to LA, and then was introduced to hip hop, and then that's where she went. Like
Mm.
she went in that direction. Now, she had dance training underneath of her, so it's not like she was walking in
Right.
blind to
Yeah.
dance and movement and learning in general. Um, but that's another fun story, and I'm sure that you have stories about musicians that they started in this genre and now
Yeah.
like Aaron Lewis, he's a country singer now, isn't he?
Yeah. Where, uh
And he was in the alternative scene early on.
yeah, starting off in Stained, and then I mean, he was always doing like his own solo stuff, and then got into Stained, and they did their whole uh run, and then he started doing his solo stuff again, and then started breaking out into the country scene, which when he started playing more country type genre tunes, I was like, okay, I can kind of see the way he acts. I'm like, okay, he can probably pull off the country dude type of style.
Right.
But when he went like country, I'm like, okay, I'm out.
Because
But I
you're
respect him for that. But I'm like, I'm out.
you're just like me because you and I like country's just not our thing. Like
Yeah, I mean,
we can appreciate the talent that the art and the artistry behind the
there's a
people that.
couple country guys that I, you know, play, and I'm like, okay, I mean, because I think they're more guitar player esque more than like country, you know, folk type, classical country type. Like they're more,
Yep.
you know, like country blues type guitar players, and I'm always drawn to like you know rock blues type guitarists, and you know country for guitar does have some good things about it. Country guitar is really prominent, but uh I think country blues are really nice, but I think just I've never got into like the whole cowboy country type style, and that was never for me. The yeehaw country, that was just
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm getting the yeehaw out of here.
Yeehaw, Allie.
Oh god. Oh god.
Oh yeah. I think like Kid Rock, for instance,
Yeah.
was like doing the, I don't want to say like Fred Durst like rock rap hybrid, but it
Yeah.
was kind of in that realm, like with Ball with the
New
Ball,
metal
new metal, and then
and
he,
you.
yeah, he went really like into like a country vibe towards uh his later work.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, the
but and
who was
I
it? Sheryl Crow in him
uh
picture.
picture, yeah,
That was
yep.
definitely a song I'm like, okay, that's definitely a different side. I mean, and that's even not a bad song. I would listen to that and be like, okay, I mean, I can do that. Uh, but
What's what's
yeah, I mean,
what's what's the one all summer long?
yeah, like
That
because it
one,
has the Sweet Home Alabama type feel to it. Yeah,
yeah, yep,
like
yep,
there you go.
yeah. There it is.
There it
I,
is.
and then what? Oh, you know the one Born Free. I was born free.
I
That one.
think so. Yeah,
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 that one definitely had a country twang to it. But
yeah.
I didn't mind them, but it was pushing the envelope where I'm like, I'm so anti country music that I'm like, it's kind of a stretch, bud.
Yeah, there's certain things about the genre that kind of I think is more like the country rock of it. Like I guess the hooks of country music kind of get to you, and you're like, I don't like it, but I kind of want to like it. But I'm like, no, okay, I'm gonna stop.
But you're like, I don't want to like it.
I don't want to like it, but it gets like I look at certain things, and I was watching like a music production type thing, and they were playing the hook of this song, and I'm like, I don't want to like it, but it's kind of a good hook, but I'm gonna stop this video before I really want to go and listen to it.
It's one of those things where it's like you're acknowledging that you beyond tolerate it, but you don't speak of it.
Yeah. It's like the guilty pleasure that you just
Yeah,
don't want to talk about.
exactly, exactly.
I like the
Oh
yeehaw.
man.
I like the yeehaw music.
Well, speaking of guilty pleasure, like in like as far as your taste in music, what would you consider like a guilty pleasure? Where like I don't want to admit this, but I'm kind of. I mean, we could both say Nickelback because we we actually like them.
Yeah, I because I mean, I always see people like, oh, Nickelback this, Nickelback that. They write some riffs. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that. They
yeah.
write some pretty good riffs. I mean, they have some good hits and everything, and I guess it's just like they. I guess today's music they label as like the dad rock type of band, do like or type of BS, kids that try to label bands that we grew up in and like, oh well, this is just dad rock and all that, and I'm like, but it's good music, but
And you're like, one, I am a dad, so it's
yeah,
fine.
no, it kind of fits me, but yeah, like,
Yeah. Well, and I know I've talked about this before, but knowing that like I'm teaching students that are half my age, and I'm like, and not, oh, I'm 20 years old and you're 10, but oh, I'm 35 years old and you're 17.
right.
It's just so weird because I can't I constantly, even tonight, I was like, guys, I'm old, okay? And they're like, yeah, we know. I was like, yo.
Wait, what are you talking? You're like
I was
trying to
saying
just
I was
saying
saying
it
it as a
not to be
joke, and they're
old.
like,
We know,
I
like,
was saying it as a joke, and they're like, yeah, but, and I was like, hey,
hey.
Hmm. But yeah, just talking about, I think we were talking about 9/11 in one of the previous episodes where it was like it's so wild to think that they weren't around when it
Yeah.
happened, and that's one of the things where I'm like, I don't feel like I'm 35, but when I run into like older kids, or even let me see, that was 21 years ago now. So if you're 20 or under, you were born after 9/11, right?
Right.
So, and even if you were just born a year or two, like, how how old do you remember back to being? Like, do you remember being 3 years old?
I'd probably say probably 5 maybe,
I remember
4 or 5 maybe.
some instances where I was 5, but it's basically like I was 7 years old, where things started flowing, like, and I was
Yeah.
like remembering stuff.
Yeah.
But like I can remember random things from kindergarten. I can remember random things from first grade, and
Yeah.
and it's really weird because I started dancing in second grade when I was 7. So I think with the act of like practicing, memorizing choreography, I was also memorizing the world around me, and life.
Right.
Before that, I was just like a troll moving around.
Right.
So it,
This
it,
this if we start talking about this, that it'll be another elongated thing, but maybe we could talk about this on the next episode. But like what you were saying, that you have instances of like remembering things in kindergarten and like first grade. Like we can talk like, isn't it crazy how like we're 35 years old, but your brain still remembers little instances like when you're like
from
5 or 6 or 7, like little small
almost
snippets.
almost 3 decades ago, right?
Because
But
like like you like an example, like there's video of my 5th birthday, but I remember that day on my birthday of like little snippets and like little snippets at like school when I was like little. But like, isn't it crazy how much your brain retains over like let's say we're 35. We're not ashamed of telling our age. But uh it's crazy how much your brain retains information through 35 years of your life. Like it may not you may not be able to remember so much into your early years, but like you say, like you get like little deja vu flashbacks, and like if you say like, oh, okay, like I remember little things from school, but like they're like little snippets. You won't be able to remember like you probably won't be able to remember a full day back then, but like okay, I remember being in that room, or I remember being in that situation. It's crazy how much your brain uh retains information. Maybe we can talk about that on a next episode or something.
yeah, I mean, I can remember like certain things that certain teachers have said all the way back until, oof, I mean, I remember a, I remember a teacher's aide when I was in like the third grade. I was going outside for recess, and I was trying to get her to guess my last name. I was like, "It's a
Mm.
color," and
Yeah.
she was guessing all the wrong colors. And I actually, she's a sweetheart, my goodness. But her her daughter wound up actually um, dancing with me
Mm.
through middle school and into high school.
Okay.
Um, and then her granddaughter actually danced at my family's studio for a few years. And yeah, she's a sweet lady. I'm not gonna name drop her, but
Uh-huh,
like
uh-huh.
I can remember walking next to her and having and yeah, we can get into
Yeah.
like throwback memories maybe in the next episode. But I think it's interesting because this one time I went to college, I took a psychology class, and it was talking about memory, and it was how how it's scientifically processed is like the you have sensory motor, which is like you detect a thing, right? And then
Yeah.
it leaps into your short-term memory, and then it's the more that you think about it, you're rehearsing it in your brain
Yeah.
to push it into your LTM, your long-term memory.
Right.
Um, so the things that I can like reflect on and recall back to from when I was a child, I'm like, I must have really thought about that so much that I can dig back into my
It's
brain,
dug into
and
your brain, yeah.
it's just burned in there, you know?
And that's like the things that kind of I've always like thought of those little things. Like it's crazy how those things work, and like that we don't know everything about how our bodies, interpret information, but it's like little things like that. You think of like all the moments you've had in your life, and our brains are able to, contain so much information. It just boggles my mind how much your mind processes every millisecond of your life. And you're like, okay, jam that in there, jam that in there, jam that
Hmm.
in there.
Yeah.
And then, okay, if you keep on thinking about, like you just said, thinking about X certain thing, then that's okay. Put this in there more and shove that into your long term so you don't lose that information. So like, it's just crazy how certain things work like that. And I think I've always been a psychology type of thing, but I've never taken any courses. But it's like, so I've had a course on um you know I've had neurology in college, and even that was really interesting because again, probably talk about this in a later episode about how the musician brain works. I'll have to bring up the papers that I read about it too, and it's just crazy how the musician brain versus like uh a normal human brain interprets stuff way different. And I might even want to see if there's papers about like dancers and how they interpret stuff too. Maybe and dance and music, brain sense might be have any like connections to it. But it was really cool to kind of see how like everybody says like, oh, like musicians have a different brain than everybody. Like, I think they really do.
Well, it's an artist brain. No, I
Hmm.
mean we as creators, we're constantly trying to pursue something that is modern, something that's contemporary, something that's different.
Yeah.
Whereas you're, um, I don't want to say average Joe because that's disrespectful, but like someone that they're like a business person. They get up,
Yeah.
they and not knocking business people because like you guys have a talent and a skill as well, but it's a little bit more cut and dry, right?
Yeah.
So you get up, you do this, and if you're negotiating, there's an art to that too, right?
Right.
But someone that lives in that world and in that spectrum where it's like, okay, I get up, I go to work, I come home, I eat dinner, I go to sleep, I wake up, and I do it again. It's a little bit more of like a I mean, I don't want to say standard, or
Yeah.
I don't want to say cut and dry, but I feel like us as artists, like our brains are wired a little bit differently because we're thinking
Right.
all the time,
It's
and
I guess like for a science term, you can say like it like the non-listener, non like generic is your control.
yeah,
So you have your control, and then you have the music or artsy entertainer type person, which is your variable.
uh huh, yep.
So then then you
We
have your
we as
control of. So
we
yeah.
as we as artists have infinite variables. Is the thing
Yeah. Yeah.
is our brains are all over the place as
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
processing, and you hear
Millions of
music.
information.
Yeah, yeah, and you hear certain music and you're digesting like patterns, theory,
Uh-huh.
dynamic. And I was just watching a slew of dance videos yesterday, some that I have seen before, some that I haven't seen before, and just processing, okay, why is this my preference? Why do I like this? What would I change about it? And maybe there isn't a lot that I would change about it. And I'm like when I'm standing there watching a video and I lift up out of my heels and I got to turn away, I'm like, oh my god, like that. It's those moments that um like I strive to produce something on that level that's like an audience, a viewer, and not just them, but even teaching the performer and the performer being like, oh my god, this is really good. Like that's what I yearn
Yeah.
for. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I know that you know what I mean, because when you
Right.
go to perform, you feel the same way. You're like, I hope I nail this.
Yeah.
And
And when you do, when you know you're nailing it, and then, hopefully somebody is like the one person that's paying attention, notices that you're doing it, and then you get that, and you're like, okay, cool. At least I know, like, I'm not the only one in this room that's feeling like, hey, this is like, I'm doing something big here. So hopefully
yeah,
somebody's paying attention to this.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, sure, sure. I love it. Bro, cheers.
cheers, buddy.
Think we got to get out of here.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think we should probably wrap this one up a little bit because
mhm.
I think we can get some things going into another episode. I think we have a lot to talk about. Always have a lot to talk about. Always have a lot to talk about here at One Set. Make sure you guys are following us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast at One Set Pod. Everybody, that is One Set Pod. And if you guys want to, send us a message, make sure you DM us on Facebook, Instagram, or send us an email, onesetpod@gmail.com. Once again, my name is Anthony, aka Magic, and this is my co-host, Jim Green, aka Green Monster. This has been another episode from the One Set Bros. We will see you all next time. Brother, do you have anything else to say?
uh, Love you guys. Thank you. Thank you for all your support once again. This has been a pretty fun journey for not just myself, but the both of us. I know Anthony's been in the pod world for a little bit. I am now 12 weeks new to this, other than the one episode I did with him.
And
Uh,
getting better every week, buddy.
uh, I mean, I honestly look back, and I know we talk about this off air. I honestly look back on some of the older clips, and I notice how much I'm moving around and like doing the there we go. Lost my earbud. But they and they say the hardest thing for a dancer to do is to be still. So I watch myself kind of like being fidgety, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I watch you sit there, and you're like totally like calm, and I'm like, I'm working on it. I'm getting there. uh,
I
Everybody,
may look calm, but my mind's going like,
yeah, it's the artistry brain, right?
yeah.
Uh, for our viewers, love
Whoopsie.
yous. Thank you. And love you
Whoopsie.
too. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, brother.
Until next
Love you
time.
guys. Have a good one.